Good morning and welcome again to another devotion time. This morning I want us to read from the book of Daniel, chapters 9. Daniel, chapters 9, and I want to read verse 2 and verse 3. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. And I set my face unto the Lord God to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. Something I want to talk about is watching and praying. Watching and praying. Observing and praying. Daniel said in verse 2 that I came to understand by books. Daniel was studying, and his studies brought him to a place where he taught himself something must be happening now. Jeremiah did make some prophecies, and Daniel was reading through those prophecies, and he made an observation around where he was situated at. In verse 3, he began to pray. And then if you read down the chapter, we now see where an angel came to give him an answer based on his prayers. But his prayers was based on observations. Very important. If Daniel wasn't making observations, if Daniel just had one line of prayer and was praying blindly, then the angel wouldn't have come. Because the angel came as a response to his prayer. In the book of Matthew, chapter 26. Matthew 26. And verse 41. Let's read verse 40. And he cometh unto his disciples, and findeth them asleep, and said unto Peter, What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Could you not watch? Could you not stay awake with me? Could you not be alert? Things are happening, Daniel and Peter. Couldn't you just stay around, stay awake for 1 hour? Verse 41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Making observations and praying is important as believers. We shouldn't be careless. Sometimes we make observations that certain things need to change, but we don't pray about it. Other times we do not even make observations. We could just be praying blindly. Instead of giving attention to make observations, Daniel said, I came to understand by books. Our prayer should at times be inspired by the observations we have made, whether in our lives, whether in our families, whether in our community, in our nations, in the world. We can just keep praying and praying the same thing, because revelation sometimes is tied to the prayers we make. The angel came to give Daniel an understanding based on his prayers. But Daniel's prayers was inspired by Daniel's perception from observation. See, I came to know by the reading of books. What observations are you making concerning your children, concerning your job? We should take things to prayer when we make observations, when we realize that things are not the way they ought to be. Maybe in your child's life, maybe in your marriage, maybe in your health. We shouldn't neglect things. We should observe and pray. Jesus said, watch and pray. Jesus said, for 1 hour, Peter, you couldn't stay alert in the middle of crisis. There was crisis around. But Peter was sleeping. Do not sleep in the middle of crisis. Get praying. I didn't say you should be anxious, but pray. Do not neglect things. It might be in some other person's life. And sometimes people think, well, it's not affecting me directly. Why should I bother praying? But the life that we've been called to, the ministry we've been called to, is a ministry of intercession. To intercede on behalf of people. Because somehow, people may be indirectly connected or linked to us. So the mind of Christ is the mind that prays. It can be someone you see around your community. Maybe they are homeless. Maybe they are going through a difficult patch. You observe to pray. We talked about how Jesus observed about a man that was leprous. You see, Jesus observed about a child that was born blind, or a man that was born blind. He observed. He looked around. And he did something about it. What do we do when we make an observation of certain things going on in the lives of people, in our community? Daniel didn't have all the answers. Daniel didn't know what he ought to have done. And that's why he was praying for guidance. He didn't just say, well, I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. No, he didn't know what to do, so he prayed until the angel came to give him an understanding. Prayer breeds understanding. Prayer breeds direction. But we should have our prayer guided by observations, guided by what we see, we watch. We saw Jesus praying differently from what he used to pray, based on what was going on around him at the time. I hope this message has been a blessing. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. God bless you, and I hope to continue sharing a bit more with you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.